In the first place, we'll really start is the return of Joe Willock. And I asked our listeners on Twitter to get in touch with me, and I said, what was the main difference about Saturday's performance? How did Newcastle United come off the pitch with all 3 points and control the game, really? And the majority of the 70 replies I've had are all about Joe Willock. There's some about the press. And obviously, Joe Willock really, kind of allows Newcastle to do that the way he's box to box. Joe Willock, was he the difference on Saturday?
Yeah, I think undoubtedly. I think I know you obviously put a different tweet out asking for man of the match, and there was maybe a few other answers. But for me, I think it was Willock. I thought everything that was fantastic about Newcastle came through him. I actually wrote a piece about it on Sunday where it was just basically a love letter to Joe Willock and everything that he did. But everybody's been saying the last couple of weeks, and it sort of got a little bit boring here, but Newcastle are going to be so much better when he comes back. But it's just true. He was better than we've seen. He looks like he's grown into his return. He's getting more minutes under his belt. He's looking fitter with every week. And I think he's making the players around him better. Bruno was much better Saturday. Sean Longstaff, I thought, had an improved game. Saturday, good on the ball, good off the ball, helped him down burn. Range of passing was fantastic. I could sit and talk about him all day.
He wants the ball, doesn't he? He wants to go forward. Then when he's out of possession, he's directing, he's shouting, and he doesn't look the kind of character to be able to voice what he wants to happen on the pitch. But he if anything, the thing that was maybe lacking from his game before the injury was that kind of leadership element. But what we saw on Saturday, definitely saw him just trying to pull the strings in and out of possession.
There's nobody, I think, in that midfield that carries the ball from deep like him. Bruno does it at times, but I think Willock is better at it. And it was so noticeable, especially in the first half, that whenever Dan Burn had the ball out on the left and Newcastle was sort of trying to build out from the back, Willock was always in a half yard of space, ready for it, ready to turn, ready to go. And I think that will massively help Burn going forward because it gives them that quick option there. So yeah, I thought he was brilliant. His athleticism, again, fantastic. He's just a really, really talented player who now we just need to hope and cross our fingers that he doesn't have a recurrence of this injury for the third time. Because it is true, and Newcastle fans have been proven right. He makes this team so much better.
A lot of people that got back to me just saying they looked more organised in defence with the midfield dropping back, and that was noticeable right from the off. Whereas Newcastle in previous weeks and months have been so vulnerable with that gap between the midfield and defence, it was clear that the instruction was to sit back, absorb the pressure, and then hit on the counter, which again, that's what Willock can allow you to do because you've got the speed of Willock. But it seemed everybody, all three of that midfield, Bruno, Longstaff, and Willock were just disciplined. And that's something else that's maybe been lacking from a defensive point of view in recent months, is that discipline just to sit there and absorb and then hit on the counter. They did it so well last season, and they did it countless times against Wolves on Saturday and got a few goals from it as well.
Yeah, and not to sort of switch to a negative, but we have been speaking the last 4 or 5 weeks about how that midfield three wasn't working, and I think this looks like it has a much better balance to it. I think I was a little bit surprised by the team on Saturday in the sense that Sean Longstaff played and started and played all the way through again. I thought maybe he would be given a rest and Lewis Miley would start, but you've now got that option there where you can take any of them out. Lewis Miley's an absolutely fantastic option to have off the bench. So yeah, look, long may it continue. As I said, we've now just got to hope that he's, over the injury. It's clearly that him, and he's like having their minutes managed, which Newcastle can do now because they're starting to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel in terms of injuries. And it's absolutely no surprise to me that so many of those 70 tweets were about Willock because he really was the standout.